I like to talk to the guys about this subject. We've talked about this off camera quite a bit when it comes to crying. You say you don't really cry that much when it comes to movies and stuff. What about when you were with your family growing up? If you felt like crying, were you comfortable to do it?
It's not that I'm not comfortable now. That I think it could be. It could be it could be a blockage forever. I just don't think of myself as someone who cries, and I'm jealous. It's coming from a place of absolute envy. When I see someone crying, I'm like, you can just feel outwardly, because it's such a. When I do cry, whether it's losing someone or Spidey's in the hospital and then I find out he's okay. Like when I think of
Spider-Man, the character.
Yes,
guys,
when Spider-Man's in the hospital, some issues fuck me up.
Spidey is cat.
Spidey cat. Like the times I think of crying are like either loss or sickness or like, breakups, like big traumas. It's always so nice. It's always such a relief. It's always like, oh my God, this is like, I've been holding this in for years. It's always such a positive. If I could cry with movies, I would love that because I feel like I'd be happier. I'd be more, like my shoulders are always in my ears, man. Like just as a person, like I am a tense, angry, frustrated fella.
It's all those shoulder lifts.
So, I got to show you. I'm teaching Greg
you
traps.
Use the barbell behind,
and you got to contract to a certain spot. It's contraction support.
It's working.
Yeah,
that's why he doesn't cry.
That's why I don't cry. I'm all tense in the shoulders from the lifts. That was like a Bill Burr came out of me.
But when it comes to movies that did make you cry, can you recall the first one that really got you? There's got to be something.
Land Before Time fucked me up.
Land Before Time. Someone else brought up Land Before Time.
Dude, that movie's so good. Five Goes West, Land Before Time, like those early animated ones. Like I think when I was a kid, I could cry easier. I don't know what changed, but like my movie-based tears are all like prepubescent. Like I don't think of myself as crying after middle school in movies. And again, I wish I could. Like if I could add a thing to my repertoire, it'd be that, because I feel like I would just put on a movie. Like when I go through a breakup, I watch Like Crazy and Blue Valentine back to back, because they both wreck me. And I can cry. But it literally takes the breakup and two of the most emotionally violent movies I know to like uncork, and I always feel so much better. But luckily I've been in a happy relationship for long enough. I haven't pumped those two in. But like it's it's such a bandwidth thing. I want it.
What was the last movie that made you cry? You didn't cry at Wild Robot?
I got close. I had the one tear, like the Native American 90s ad, but like I didn't have the like I didn't feel that release. You know what I mean? Like my brain leaked, but I didn't I wanted to sob.
You say so much weird shit that I hear people laugh, and I'm just so used to you. It's like,
What did I say? Yeah. I don't even know.
Native Americans.
You remember that shit? They were born in like 2002.
You just ate like shit. I was like, I said it's like out of
those
body.
Poor editors are going to be like, I don't even know how to find that clip.
I don't know what's he talking about.
It was a big ad in the 90s.
It's so funny. Okay, that's so interesting to me. So, like, can you recall what the last one was though that really got you? I remember one time I saw you tear up, and we weren't reacting to something.
Okay,
you were doing a giant Marvel movie ranking, and you put Spider-Man: No Way Home at the top.
Oh yeah,
and it was the one time I saw you tear up. You hear me off camera go, "Are you crying?" Like. This Mr. Sensitive, empathic guy suddenly was like, "This is what's getting you. You
stop crying.
You're reviewing like 50 movies.
I'm so passionate about Spider-Man, bro.
And you're just like Spider-Man. And I'm like, what? This is what's doing it for him. Have you cried ever reading a comic?
I must have. Comics really affect me because I feel like I'm steering them. Like I feel like comics I connect to pretty uniquely because it's almost hallucinatory for me. Like I always talk about the space between the panels, right? Like the moment between a frame and a frame, you're the actor, you're the writer, you're the director. The story is yours between that frame.
Yeah.
And I love that it's such a lean art that you mainly have a writer and an artist, and the inker and the color, I don't want to discredit them, but like when you've got a comic, you've mainly got the writer and the artist, and I love that it's two souls of experience telling one story that is so sometimes emotionally driven that you're one recipient. So it's like three people tripping balls together because you're just having this moment. And the space between the panels is when the character's alive in you, which sounds so cheesy, but like that's when the character is like your experience between like what happened in A and B. So like there are times when if I relate really strongly to that beat, it might affect me, but I really try to live in the books when I read them, whether it's a narrative, whether it's a comic, whether it's nonfiction, fiction, whether it's a book with words or photos. I always want to be in every space between every letter because like that's how I want to experience it. And I try to do the same with movies. Like I didn't like acting as much as I wanted to by the time I was doing decently in it. Because I didn't feel like I was as good as other people could be in the role. Like I would actively be like, I took someone's job. Like someone else would be having the best time ever and they would probably make this movie a better experience. I'm costing the audience. I'm costing, because I love movies so much, I would feel guilty that I wasn't giving enough that it was worth the people that are in the future sitting there watching it. So I'm always living through the actor's history. Like I think that's why I like interviews. Cause like Jake Gyllenhaal, he builds his role so cumulatively. Like he'll talk about the socks that he wore in Southpaw, changing him as a person. He'll talk about like the impact of learning this phrase. He'll talk about everything changes Jake forever. And that's what I think life is. So I want to leave a movie different because that 2 hours I'll never get back. I might as well get the most out of it. I want to finish a comic different. I want to finish a book different. But maybe because I'm so in it, I can't cry because I wouldn't get through shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like I'm such an exposed nerve. I'm trying to be an exposed nerve. Maybe it's a safety protocol that my brain's like, bro, you can't just be crying 20 hours a day. But I want to be so emotionally invested in these stories. And that's also why I think I love them so much. Because I'm getting to witness someone's souls, plural.
Yeah.
And what a time. So like, maybe it's a defense mechanism. My brain it knows how close it is to the wire, like the third rail, that it's like, maybe not. So I don't think of myself as being able to cry. I did cry at Guardians 3. I hate that everybody thinks I just do comic, but like Guardians 3 made me cry.
What part?
The animals, man. Rocket, I felt like that 10-year connection to. Because I remember that one specifically because it's like the only time I've been embarrassed at a premiere because I didn't realize how bad I was crying. And then I went to the after party and I was talking to people. And then I went in the bathroom like 20 minutes into the after party and I was like, oh, fuck. Like raccoon eyes. Like I looked like I'd been weeping and I didn't realize it got me that bad. And then I was like, I just met a bunch of people and I look like this. So I remember that emotional, like, because of that.
But why though? Why did that get you?
Civil War made me cry. Okay. That's the most recent. Civil War fucked me up. Civil War is
not Captain America. Civil War.
Yeah. Everything's a comic movie.
Right.
No, 2024. Oh, did it?
Yeah. I was like, no wait, he's talking about the Alex Garland movie. Yeah.
The 2024 Civil War. Politics are such an exhausting subject, but the movie is brilliantly apolitical. And what I found in it that scared me was that it felt like a history book of the present. Like when you read a history book, they're very smart to make photos of Martin Luther King in black and white so we pretend it's not as recent as it was. They're very smart to retroactively make history written by the winners even in photos. Like Martin Luther King would be alive, most likely.
Yeah.
And like those photos in black and white make you go, crazy long time ago and we were pieces of shit. It wasn't. We are. So the movie really affected my experience of, and again, not to get political, but we're living through, and we always are living through historic times. It's funny in memes. Like I'm so sick of historic times. Historic, we live and then it's history. Like everything's always a lot, but it was an example of a dystopian future that wasn't the future. It was the present. And those images of like, instead of a vessel, like a ship, like in the 1800s, it was a helicopter and it was the same frame. They'd frame it like a history book. And they'd make you feel like when you're a kid judging the past, oh, we're so much better than that now. But no, we're not. And the movie gave you the scope of how we will look back on this time with fucking disgust and how our grandkids will go, what were they thinking? And I'm not talking about the present. I'm talking about the constant. We as humanity, not 2024 us throughout time, we don't know how to treat each other. And that movie really hit me in that no matter when I live, it will always be historic times. No matter what I do, I will always disagree with some people because of their decisions. And I don't know if I'm right or wrong, but they certainly think I'm not. And I have to deal with the fact that there will always be people that don't have my best interest at heart. And there will always be people that have others' interest at the cost for their wealth and their goals and their shit. And that movie just shined a big fucking light on like humanity's pitfalls and our lack of empathy. And it made it a history book come to life for the present. And it scared the fuck out of me and I cried.
It's interesting that you would first sight rocket and you say the animals. Now you're talking about Civil War. It sounds like, it could be off here. It sounds like when it's actually reflecting a real world problem.
Yeah.
That for some reason is the thing that gets to you the most. Some people have it where it's like their parents.
Sure.
But that doesn't seem like it gets you. But it seems like when there's an actual real world problem that you really do find, you do take issue with, that is reflected.
I'm also realizing in real time, like literally in real time, that I've probably cried a lot of times that I don't remember, and I'm wondering if it's a mental block. Because the Civil War epiphany was only because I was like scouring my mind, and since I opened that door, I cried during Oppenheimer. There was I got to see Oppenheimer with Ludwig Göransson scoring it with the opera. I mean, with the orchestra that actually scored the movie.
Yeah, I remember.
What an insane experience! But it opened up emotion in me that I didn't think I could feel. Just like the music got in my soul and it made me cry with beauty and sadness. But if you'd asked me not on camera, not racking my brain, I'd be like, I haven't cried in 10 years, like in a movie. But now I'm remembering there have been occasions, but I'm wondering if there's something in my brain, and maybe it's like, you know, I love being raised in 80s and 90s machismo, but maybe there's a part of me that's like, men don't cry. The movies taught me that. Like, since we're talking about what movies taught me, maybe I think I'm not supposed to cry. I love crying, but I don't have the tool set to access it a lot. But I'm also finding it interesting right now that I hide it from myself. Like I keep it like in a box even to me. So like, I got some shit to work out. Therapy, what up? I'll see you soon.
Well, that's the funny thing about masculinity portrayed in films.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the time, these masculine characters, it's at the end of the day, they're actors. They're playing this masculinity. And a lot of times you see these masculine characters get emotional and cry.
Yeah, dude.
You've seen Sylvester Stallone break down. You mentioned Lethal Weapon. You've seen Martin Riggs break down.
Yeah.
Like you see these very masculine people break down, and yet they'll still be the embodiment, the representation of the masculinity.
And most of my favorite actors are hyper masculine men with so much access to their emotion. So it's another thing where I'm seeking, just like we opened this conversation about what I seek in a partner, and it's a quiet confidence that I don't have because I'm loud as fuck. What I seek in aspiring to be masculine is being a hyper masculine man that has emotional bandwidth. Like Tom Hardy is a fascinating creature to me. Like Tom Hardy is the epitome of, and Jake Gyllenhaal, two hyper masculine dudes. They are so tapped into their emotion. They are so ready to be whatever they need to be without shame. So I clearly subconsciously seek the answers to these exact questions.